Hi, I'm in Washington D.C. and I have the opportunity to meet with a legend in D.C. and in American civil rights advocacy, Dr. James Zogby, and we were at his home and I wanted to take the opportunity to ask him about the Palestinian situation. He's an expert who's been working on this for more than 60 years, I'd say, the president of the Arab American Institute, and someone who's worked with every political administration, presidential administration since the 1970s, I think starting with Jimmy Carter to today, a man who knows what's going on behind the scenes and also across the world. And it's my pleasure to say hi to you.
Thank you so much.
I wanted to ask you if you can tell us what you think the reality is of what the American administration is trying to achieve with its policies on Israel and the Palestinians, and where we stand today as a humanity.
I wrote an article a few weeks back, Daisy, based on a story that my wife's family would tell. The story is my father-in-law was driving on the Long Island Expressway, and it's normally very crowded, but there were no cars, and he's just zipping along. And my mother-in-law said to him, honey, do you have any idea where we're going? And he said, I have no idea where we're going, but I'm making great time. And I think of this administration and Netanyahu and his government in that vein. I don't think they have a clue where they're going. They're wreaking destruction. It started off as vengeance. It started off on the U.S. side as, well, we've got to give Israel this opportunity to wreak havoc, and it's gone from there. And I don't think either the Israelis or the U.S. have any idea where they're going, what they're doing. And frankly, when you talk to them, they say, oh, yes, it's intolerable. We say, then end it. And they say, well, that's intolerable too because we can't tell the Israelis to stop.
You're having meetings with the administration, different area departments. Can you give us an insight on what those conversations are and if there is serious endeavors behind the scenes to pull Israel into line?
I don't think so, because they know that Israel doesn't respond to cajoling or to entreaties, and they are unwilling to pay what they feel is the political price that they'd pay by making a very serious effort to tell them to stop. But at the same time, they are now very clearly witnessing that there's going to be a backlash that may very well cost him re-election. For months now, since this got going, we'd say to them, you're going to lose not just Arab votes, but in polling we did as early as November, we found black voters, Asian voters, young voters, significantly impacted by this. They'd say, oh, no, when it comes down to November and they have a binary choice, we know what they'll do. They'll choose Biden. I said, no, I've done this now since the Jackson campaigns in 84 and 88, and then with Bernie. The binary choice for these groups is vote or not vote at all. Most of them will not vote at all. And these are voting groups that Biden cannot lose. He can't lose young voters or black voters or Latino or Asian voters. They've already lost white working class voters. What's left is what they call the Obama coalition, and he's losing that. Not all of it, but if you lose 10% or 5% even of those groups in what is clearly close election states, then you're in trouble. They don't see it. That's dangerous. When kids are getting arrested on campuses, when kids are walking out of graduations, even if it's a small number, it's enough of a number that it's going to matter. And I just don't think that they see that.
We're looking at an institutional mindset towards the Zionist policy of annihilating the Palestinians. How do we change that?
There is the other side of this story, and that is that there's very significant change taking place here in America. Certainly on the Democratic side. 2/3 are opposed to what Israel's doing. 2/3 are dissatisfied with the policies of Joe Biden. We already have a situation where we've had some actions in Congress in which more than 80 Democrats opposed. Never had a number that large. We have senators, almost 40% of the Democrats in the Senate oppose what Israel's doing and oppose what the president is doing and sending more weapons. The fact is that it's a growing movement, and I don't think it's going to change. Thinking back where we were 40 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, I saw things happen in the last couple of months that I never expected to happen in my lifetime. Used to be demonstrations in front of the White House where 50 people, and it was Carter, you should know we support the BLO. Now it's tens of thousands of people, and Arabs are a small fraction of that group. It's a lot of young people, but it's the same people who demonstrated against the murder of George Floyd and Black Lives Matter, the same young people who demonstrated for women's rights back when Trump was first elected, or who demonstrated against firearms and guns and wanted gun control after the Parkland shooting. I mean, this is a transformed political climate in America, and Gaza and Palestinian rights are a part of that. And the thing is that these kids are not only pro-Palestinian in the sense that they oppose what Israel's doing, but they know the history. We talk to them, they know about colonialism, they know about settler colonialism, they know about Zionism, and they are as fluent on this issue as many Arabs are. And that's not going to change. I think
many are Jews.
A significant, there's a debate within the Jewish community that is as intense as the debate in the country as a whole. And I'm so proud to be able to work with these groups because these are kids who grew up in the Jewish world. They went to Jewish summer camp. They attempted to indoctrinate them and send them on trips to Israel. And they went and they came back saying, what's happening to Palestinians is horrible. And they see a policy unfolding that is deplorable. And they have become now the spearhead of much of the movement that is unfolding. So,
around the world.
There's change. And I don't think it's going to change back. This is not about Jews. It's not about Judaism. It's about a policy of a government that is racist and deplorable and should be condemned. And it's a problem of politics in Washington that is influenced by external actors, not just AIPAC, but even more significant, the fundamentalist Christian movement in America. And we need to address it as it is, not in some fictional mythological the Jews control, because there are significant number of Jews on the side of justice.
Have you ever witnessed in your decades working for change and promoting and advocating for Arab American rights, the rise of the Jewish community so coordinated and so strong and so clear about the anti-Zionist ideology?
When I started the Palestine Human Rights Campaign back in the mid-'70s, we had Jewish supporters from a number of human rights groups, from a number of young Jewish groups. There were, in the beginning, there was a New Jewish Agenda. There was Brera. The establishment crushed them. I mean, literally crushed them, and silenced their voice, banned them from campuses. What's different now is that the Jewish establishment can't silence Jewish voice for peace, or if not now. They grew too fast, they're too big, and the more they try to quash them, the stronger they get. So I wrote an article, last week's article. I quoted, paraphrased Fayez Saich, the Palestinian intellectual, who said at one point, when Israel appears to be its strongest, it's actually its weakest. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. I mean, they are taking measures, the pro-Israel side in Congress, to ban speech.
Yes.
It's McCarthyite practices. And that is yes, it's a sign of strength. It's also an indication of how weak they are.
How scared they are.
They're frightened to death because they're losing everywhere. We're winning this debate. And we just keep doing what they're doing, and they keep doing what they're doing. They're digging a hole awful deep.
Just going back to the Jewish community around the world rising, do you think they are instrumental and have to be instrumental in the change, because they are the community that Israel and Netanyahu are purporting to defend? And so having this other side of the Jewish community standing up and saying, no, this is wrong, do they have to be the leaders of change within their community?
They have to change within their community. But let me make 2 points. One is, no, this is not an issue that will or should be solved by the Jewish community alone. This is our issue. And
humanity, you mean? All of humanity.
I mean, on the Arab side, we're the victims in this, you know.
Okay.
This is not about like, oh, feel bad for them. They're torn in anguish over. This is not about them. It's about us. It's about people in Gaza. It's not about the anguish of the Jewish community, but they do have to fight within their community. And we have to fight, like I said, to ensure that this never becomes anti-Semitism, because it's wrong, because it's the best way for us to lose our argument, and 3, because there is anti-Semitism. It's real. People have done horrible things to the Jewish people. And I don't want to see that happen again, and certainly not because of an issue we care about.
Yeah.
I firmly believe you never do to others what they do to you. You do to others what you want them to do to you. I don't want to use bigotry or use money or power to hurt other people. That's not the way that ultimately you build a moral society.
Do you have a fear that those defending and on the right side of history, will give up? Do you have a concern that we're going to get tired?
I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible. I think there are individuals who give up, but when a cause is just, people will come forward, and they have come forward. And when outrages occur, people will come forward, and they have come forward. And it's not as if people in Gaza are going to just evaporate and no one will pay attention. This issue is not going away. It's actually won converts to a cause who will now study even more deeply what happened in 48, what happened in 1917 and 1921. There now people are going to know about Balfour and Sykes-Picot and about the Peel Commission and about the Great Revolt in 36, 39. That's all going to become known to a generation that didn't know about it. And so, no, this is not going to go. There's a building process in consciousness. Consciousness doesn't just evaporate, it grows. And there was no consciousness of this. Now there is, among many more people than ever before. And it's going to be a stain on Israeli history, on American history, American consciousness, that is going to take a generation to erase it. And there's a generation committed to erasing that stain.